All right, everybody, welcome to the first review of 2021. As I mentioned in December, it's a pet themed month. And so the first read is Cat About Town by Kate Conte. And I was so excited about this book. It's again, I've really picked pets for January, and I've tried to select books where they're very animal centric because my personal preference is to, if you're going to say it's a pet themed book, like the pet really needs to be central in the book and not just be like, oh, there's a pet somewhere. So that is definitely what Cat About Town is. So Maddie James, our main character, lives in San Francisco. She's an entrepreneur. She has a juice bar out there with her business partner, but she's having to come back to the East Coast for her grandmother's funeral. And during that funeral, she becomes aware that there's somebody who's actually threatening her grandfather in a way. And then that person actually ends up being murdered. And her grandfather is under suspicion, so she gets drawn into that case. Now, what I really love about the main character is I think something that sets her apart from some other main characters. One, she kind of sets her up as a calculated risk taker. Like, she started a juice bar, she started a business, she's an entrepreneur. That's already a little risky. So she also isn't afraid to like go out and talk to people and do things. But Conte walks a really nice line between I'm a risk taker, but I'm also smart with Maddie James, because it's so easy for a main character who is more of a risk taker to like go into that, now I'm making really stupid decisions, right? And us as the reader, like, girl, what are you doing? Like, you don't need to be doing that, right? But this is very natural and really sets her up as a smart character who gets herself into some pickles, but it's a very smooth kind of transition to those conundrums. Also, the other thing that I really like about this, I love her grandfather, and it made me miss my grandfather so much. He is hashtag goals grandpa. Like, he is funny and he's sweet and he's smart and he like loves his family. And Maddie actually stays with him when she is back for the funeral. And so she's kind of embedded with him, seeing his behavior, seeing others' behavior with him. It's very, very interesting dynamic, and I love it. I love seeing the skip generation interactions in a book. So now, pets. We got to talk about pets. So, so Maddie, and you can see from the cover here, Maddie actually comes across this cat in the book, and who ends up being named JJ. That's not giving anything away. And he is definitely part of the plot and helps Maddie and helps to move the plot forward, which I really enjoy. And the best thing is, so I actually had my 13-year-old daughter read this because look, the cat is wearing a harness. He's harness trained, people, okay? Like, how can we not love this? And I made my 13-year-old daughter read it, and she loved it. But I made her read it because her summer project when we were in quarantine, she needed something to do, and so she actually harnessed and leash trained our cat, one of our cats, which was hilarious. So I might have to share some of that on my Instagram channel because he does go out for a walk every day now. And so, of course, I had to have her read this. So the other things with this book, I really enjoyed kind of the world building. We're definitely taken around town. We're shown the different sites, the different things that make this community a community, which I really enjoy. I don't typically like those books that are very restricted and we only see like the one house and like the neighbor's house. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see where you live, right? And then the other thing to mention here is that the bad guy in this is perfect. Like, he's the perfect bad guy. He's like bad enough that where you really don't like him, and he's like smarmy, and he's this like greedy, land grubby person, but he's not so bad that you're like, what is this doing in a cozy book? And I feel like I've read some of those recently where it's really on the harder edge, but this isn't. This is like, you really don't like the guy, but but it's not, you know, it's not over the top, right? So, okay, so this, and I will say that Kate Conte actually had me hooked in the very first chapter, where even in the first chapter, I was like, I will read this whole book, because she mentions that Maddie goes to her childhood home where her parents still live, and goes to her old bedroom, and there's a Nirvana poster in the bedroom, and I'm like, well, that's my girl. Like, we gotta, right? I'm dating myself. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna read this book for sure. So this is definitely this is a very promising series for me for all of these reasons. You know, it's a very smooth plot. There's no drag in the middle. You're really finding things out all along the way. You really get to know different characters. And again, the grandpa is just so good. Just love him. I really am gonna be reading more of this series. So I hope this was helpful for you in deciding whether or not this series would be for you. And I will see you next week with the next book.